Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me fine. Yes, hello. Welcome to the first webinar for Meet Africa, organized by ANIMA. First of all, thank you very much for taking the time for joining us today to talk about the strategy and mobilization of the diaspora. We will implement 5 ways for Cameroon, Morocco, Senegal, and Tunisia. And I would like to thank all the financiers and the European Union and all the partners of the project, all the speakers, and of course, all of you joining us today for the first webinar. For myself, my name is Ima, Chief Project Manager for this project, and I'm in charge of the Meet Africa part. First, before we start and we delve into the detail, I'd like to propose to some housekeeping. The first one is that you are recorded. It is quite normal in webinars organized by ANIMA in order to be able to use the video as replay, and those who could not join us will be able to get up to speed with this project. Secondly, you can listen in French or English. There is simultaneous interpretation, so you can switch the channels through the globe icon on Zoom. I'd like to propose to you to switch off your mic when you are not speaking, to leave the place for the speakers. And the last thing is that this webinar is organized for you. So please do not hesitate to ask whatever question you might have. You can find the webinar and everything regarding Meet Africa on the replay on the site, but also on social networks and the YouTube channel of ANIMA. Do not hesitate to watch the video because there are a lot of interesting things to discover. And do not hesitate to take a look whenever you have the time to do so. Let's present ANIMA quite quickly to start with. ANIMA Investment Network is a platform for economical cooperation in between Europe and Africa. We are a network counting more than 60 members, 60 countries in 20 countries, with a really different situation. We have a network of experts coordinated by a really performant team. ANIMA implements with its members several initiatives to strengthen the investment of private sector following in the pursuit of a more sustainable and just economy. We work with the governmental agency for the developments, and we also have entrepreneurs clusters, diaspora clusters, several stakeholders with the universities and institutions. We are one of the pioneers of the cooperation of the diaspora through the territory association. But at the heart of this action, several strategy proposed by the members, and we are completely dedicated to this topic, and we contributed since 2005 to several initiatives that are today a reference throughout the sector. And that's why today we are partners with Meet Africa, and I have the pleasure of having Oliver Addi for Expertise France coordinating this initiative, and I leave him the floor so he can explain to you what we are going to see and speak about today. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Ima, for the introduction. Welcome, everybody, to this first webinar organized by ANIMA in the framework of the Meet Africa project with Business France. I am director of the project Meet Africa for Invest France. I'd like to introduce a little bit the idea where the project comes from, and so on and so forth. To summarize, we have a project today for the development of the diaspora in between Europe and Africa, launched by the Agency for Development and the European Union and led by Expertise France. We are a team within Expert France in charge of piloting the initiative. And we have, this is but one of the 4 initiatives in this project that we lead. And we asked ANIMA to help us with this. First of all, an introduction of Expertise France. We are a public French agency to conceive, create, and implement a technical cooperation on financial operations and matters. We create and implement projects to bring forward in a sustainable matter economy in several countries, taking at heart arguments, topics like education, integration, equality, and so on and so forth. We intervene on key domain of sustainable development, and we contribute with this partner. We have more than 600 speakers, 500 projects underway, and an activity focused mainly in Africa, with 70% of our activity being in Africa. So concerning Meet Africa, this is a project that was born in 2016 with a first phase, which was the pilot phase called Meet Africa 1, lasted for a year and a half and allowed us to support diaspora entrepreneurs to bring business to their origin country. And we have identified several things with this first pilot project. The first being the need to support and accompany further more with a better visibility and a better focus and implication of entrepreneurs on these 2 continents. The second thing we identified is a need for information and orientation for the actors of the diaspora. And the third one is a need for financing to foster the development. And because of these things that we have highlighted, we started this second project. We are 1 year and a half in it. We started in October last, and we have different objectives in the projects, 2 main ones in the phase 2 of Meet Africa. The first one being strengthening and structuring the entrepreneur ecosystem in between Europe and Africa. And secondly, to support technically the actors of the stakeholders of the diaspora. We have for this several activities. The first one being the creation of a platform to put together the people and to have them interact with one another. And this is the hub Meet Africa, and that's why we are organized as this webinar to animate this platform. The second activity is a series of training session and activity to strengthen the skills that we give to our stakeholder, and especially the institutional one. We implement several activities to strengthen their skill and the capacity to mobilize the diaspora. The second objective is supporting and accompanying entrepreneurs with several incubators, and then to create alumni laureates that are based in Europe or in Africa, and will have as a prize a support, tailored support for 12 months to bring forward their project either in Europe or in their country. And the funding is a further advantage for entrepreneurs of the diaspora. And around all of this, we have a series of events allowing us to put together our award winners, our experts, to create an ecosystem in order to valorize and create a dynamic to make this operation everlasting, or lasting as much as possible. That's why we are really happy to have institutional partners in this project. They will be intervening today, because in the framework of Meet Africa, we have them intervene. In charge of the co-construction of this platform. Please do not hesitate if you have any question. I will not be able to stay with you till the end of the webinar, but I will take note of all the comments and I will reply either directly if I'm here or later on in writing. Thank you very much for this presentation of the project. Of course, ask as many questions as you can. You are part of the Meet Africa or ANIMA Network, so even if today is not possible to reply to all your questions, you will be able to speak with us further on. Ima, just an information that I forgot to add. We launched a second tender for applications for the diaspora last Tuesday, and we will form the second cohort of entrepreneurs that will be supported and accompanied. This is a co-creation support through an incubator in Europe and an incubator in your country. So to submit your application, please submit your application. You are perfectly allowed and welcome to do so, and you will be able to take benefit from our support. We will be waiting a little bit yet. I can leave you the floor for 1 minute, but we need to be really efficient, because otherwise the end of the webinar will be delayed. And since we have an interpretation service, we need to respect the timings. After the first two interventions, you will be the first to be able to take the floor, of course. Now, I'd like to introduce you rapidly, because we spoke about the Hub Meet Africa a little bit yet. We are implementing this platform, responding to the needs of objectives that you can have in the framework of this project, but also needs that have been highlighted by the cohort of entrepreneurs. We organized several workshops, and ergonomy and graphic is shared. You were invited, and of course that allowed us to create a backlog of a full year of development. So step by step we will take it. You will find new initiatives up until next spring. This is a digital device that it will be presented to you later on, but the best thing you can do is go and have a look. This is a platform that was created for you, by you, giving you access to all the possibilities that you might need today for all the stakeholders working in diaspora. And we put all the stakeholders and all the needs and tools together on a unique solution in this platform. So if you have already developed a product, you already have a list of clients, you will be able to set the platform with your own specs in order to have a tailored support based on your needs. All of that will be implemented. We started in May last, and we will continue up until next year. And of course, we will also continue these webinars and surveys. And let's talk a little bit about our networks, because this is not only a digital tool. There is a whole organization behind it to create this device, to this platform, and to give you all the tools that you might need, because you do have the potential, and we give you the support and the tools to make your business international. And I stop here. I leave the floor to Mam Gallo, project chief for digital in ANIMA. She's the artist behind the whole coordination of the web platform. So you have the floor. Yes, hello everyone, and welcome for this first Meet Africa Hub webinar. In order to show you how to use the platform, I will use real example. In my example, I am a woman in Africa wanting to. I am a woman. I want to develop my company in Senegal, and I'm looking for someone to help me with my business plan. So I go on the platform and I have a search bar at my disposal. I will define there my needs. I am looking to create my business plan. Then I set my level of development. I have an idea and the location, Senegal. I will then get on a result page with everything corresponding to my research, an interactive tool localized in my offers, the available offers. So if I want to have a more detailed offer based on my needs, I can select other criteria like sector. For instance, I work in the creative and cultural industry, and I will also set in my targets woman entrepreneur. I cannot see because of the screen sharing, the validation button, but I should have a target of the criterias that I've chosen. I have several presentations, and I find that the offer by ADEPME with a short presentation of the offer, the institution which is in Dakar, the offer, the services offered, the specification to apply to the projects, how to apply. I also have access to a video of the presentation of the offer, and also documents like brochures or materials that are only for the people subscribing to the platform, of course. I also find all sorts of information, and when I want to have their direct coordinates, I can obtain them by subscribing and entering my ID and password. And at that moment, I do have access to The people in charge of this offer, I will be able then to contact this person through email or through social networks. This is all for the presentation. You also have access to the complete list of offers available on the hub, the network, and all the institution member of the hub, and a short presentation of partners and of the project. This is all for this presentation. Do not hesitate.
Thank you. By next year, you will also find new functions in order to meet the needs that we have collected during the workshops. There will be some technical information, for example, about the market, the size of the market, the currency. For example, if I do fundraising in a country, what happens if I want to bring that money to another country? So all that you need to know about accountancy and administration, we are going to improve this tool to meet the needs. And now let's get down to today's topic. Because we are already late, sorry, the agenda is really full. Okay, so let's officially start with the topic of this webinar: national strategies for identifying, mobilizing African diaspora entrepreneurs. So what are today the offers, the opportunities that can support entrepreneurs? What are the stakeholders? And then what is the policy behind? There are many opportunities available. I would say that last year we realized that the potential for the development is human development, economic development is just huge. And it's on the rise. So we can see that new countries are implementing approaches to attract the diaspora, to support it, to make sure that they come back to the country to make investment and to be ambassadors, because you are the ambassadors of your countries of origin. And it is really important to keep the links, the relations with your countries of origin. This is absolutely important. We are now aware of this. And over the last 10 years, the African Union put in place new approaches, keeping this in mind. So we are going to discuss this for 1.5 hours with 4 eminent speakers who are working for you. We are going to speak about how to support projects that are in Europe, but also in Africa at the same time. We're going to speak about a supporting plan that bears in mind these 2 simultaneous locations, which is a difficulty, but at the same time an asset for the implementation of your projects. So we will have 4 speakers, and during these 4 speeches, we're going to speak about the tools that are available. We'll have 4 members of the platform, and they are also members of the Development Council that is working in the development of the digital tool. And they played a major role even in practicalities. So everyone was very much involved in the creation of this platform. I know there are many platforms, but not very many target several countries at the same time. Most of these platforms are national, based on a single country. So the first speaker is going to be Karim Basrire, who comes from MEM by CGEM, members of the Executive Board of World Entrepreneurs, so the Confederations of Industry in Morocco. Then second speaker, Alain Koum from Cameroon for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And I will also very happy to welcome Idrissa Diabira from the Agency of the Development of Small and Medium Entrepreneurs. He's the Director General of this association in Senegal, and GM Ben Romdan from FIPA Tunisia, that is the IPA in Tunisia. And I'm really glad to be with you today. And I am going to give the floor to the first speaker, since we are running late. Karim, before giving the floor to you, I would like to give some figures, just to give you the context. These figures have been released by the UDEP, that is a project funded by the European Union and the Center for the Development of Migrant Policies, so the ICMDP, International Center for Migration Policy Development, and they have analyzed 43 countries in Africa, but also China and India. So it is a study about policies being put in place in connection with migrants. So what can we learn from the Moroccan diaspora? First of all, there are 3 million Moroccan inhabitants living abroad, about 8% of national population, updating in October 2021. So if there is some inconsistency, that is why. 80% of these 3 million migrants live in the EU, out of which 1 million in France and 700,000 in Spain. As for money transfers that are becoming more and more important, the transfers remittances represent 7 million US dollars, more or less. Karim, once again, over to you. Thanks a lot for being with us, and over to you. Thank you, and hello, everyone. Thank you, Emma, for this introduction. I'm very happy to be part of this first Meet Africa webinar. Some more information about these figures. It is true that there can be some inconsistencies. Actually, the number of diaspora is 5 million in our estimates, and remittances amount in our calculation to $1 billion. Having said that, I would like to greet you on behalf of CGEM, that is the General Confederation of Moroccan Enterprises, businesses, and you can see the logo that says MEM by CGEM. So Moroccan entrepreneurs of the world. Actually, the president wanted to be with us, but he's in the plane right now. So I'm greeting you on his behalf. By the way, thanks a lot, Anima, and thanks a lot to all the team of Meet Africa for this webinar that is going to speak about a really important topic, namely the mobilization of the African diaspora. Because it is true, the umbilical, the link, the umbilical link of the diaspora with their countries of origin has never been severed, because there are still technological and economic relationships between diaspora and their countries of origin. And this has very much observed, especially by the King of Morocco, who's always being in touch with the communities, Moroccan communities living abroad, because he wants them to be very much attached to their countries of origin. So the king gives a lot of importance to to these links. So in order to kindle this link, many bodies are working. For example, the CGEM, the Foundation of Moroccan Living Abroad. Then there is an ad hoc direction within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Morocco with a service for mobilization of skills. I know that some of these people are here. And we also have lots of specific programs, such as the launch in 2001 of the Marhaba operation, that is the name, carried out by Mohammed Fifth Foundation. And it is an initiative to host Moroccan people coming back to the home to Morocco in the summer. We had to stop this program during the pandemic, but thanks to this initiative, millions of Moroccans come back from Spain or other countries, come back to Morocco. They come back by boat, by plane, by car. And it is a huge initiative, very well structured. In 2003, the king created a specific day for Moroccans of the world, the 10th of August. And every year, this is an opportunity to strengthen the link of the Moroccan community with their Moroccans living abroad. At the same time, there is a program called Koum, meaning where are you in Arabic, chaired by this National Center of Scientific Research. It is an action, an initiative taken by the government involving universities in Morocco, both public and private. And thanks to this program, some transfers are covered to encourage the transfer of skills. There is a fund called MDM Invest, Moroccans of the World, that is co-financed by Koum, who is that is a fund, a national fund. And for those who want to invest in Morocco, there is this fund available. Of course, there are some eligibility criteria. So, for example, people need to have a residency abroad. And the MDM Invest also opens the door in many different ways to investors in many different ways. For example, there is a bonus for investors. Morocco really wants to give up to 10% of grants to people who want to invest in Morocco, to set up, to make their investments in Morocco. So, as I said, that there are lots of initiatives aiming at encouraging investments in Morocco. On behalf of MEM by CGM, well, this initiative is an initiative based on for economy. And what is the aim? Actually, we wanted to create a movement that is effective to help our country and at the same time to face problems such as the pandemic, for example. So we also promote a disruptive approach aiming at promoting economic growth to involve Moroccans living all around the world, very many. And we launched the MEM 3.0, the family of Morocco's. So it is a lobbying initiative, a networking initiative to put together different talents and support economic growth. So what it is, MEM, it is a place, a really independent place where there are networking actions to create a link between Moroccans living abroad with Moroccans and investors, and representing all the different networks that we represent. So, as I said, lots of networking actions carried out by MEM and offering all the services that are provided by CGEM. I know that in Mid-Africa, some a model was also observed. So what is the organization of MEM? Our organization is based on 5 pillars. The first one is mentors to mentors, so mentoring programs enabling diaspora to contribute and to make sure that people can draw inspiration from them, from their vision, from their strategies, or to orient people towards the good technical or financial approach. So it is a virtuous circle actually, because at the same time, those who are mentored, who were mentee, become mentor themselves. That is why I've spoken about a mentor circle, a virtuous circle. So invest the second pillar. The second pillar is based on investments by CGEM. So, for example, we presented some industrial projects to produce amounting to 3 billion euros, and in order to avoid importing during the COVID pandemic. And we also present lots of other opportunities in the region, because each region has specific characteristics. Third characteristic, the second one was invest opportunistically. But now, third pillar. The third pillar enables research centers in diaspora countries to connect with the research centers in Morocco to develop investments in Morocco. So the aim of this pillar is to create a network gathering different centers, research centers in Morocco and also abroad. The fourth pillar, business mentor, enabling the diaspora to help another a Moroccan company to support them to export. So MEM, as Inma said, is an ambassador of economic development. Finally, fifth pillar, sky's the limit. It enables MEM, so Moroccans of the world, to do business among them, regardless of where they are. So it shouldn't necessarily be connected to Morocco. For example, an agro-business could develop a venture in Tunis or in Dakar, thanks to networking activities. I know that there are some colleagues from Cameroon, from Tunisia and Senegal, and so that means that we try to create connections among the continent. And then there is a specific program. Hopefully, I still have some minutes. I'll try to be really quick. For example, there was a program carried out in Belgium, Maghreb Belgium Impulse. It is a program specific to support entrepreneurs and project holders of Moroccan diaspora in Belgium to accelerate investment in Morocco. So this program, amounting to 25 million euros, completely managed by CGEM. And by the way, we are really the KPIs of the project are really good, almost 100%. So as I was saying, this program was financed by Belgium and also the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Morocco. And thanks to this program, a specific program was carried out, coaching, actions, trainings in soft skills and others. And we try to provide networking opportunities for the acceleration of the project in Morocco. So do not hesitate to visit our website and to have a look at the Hub Meet Africa. Register. I recommend you to register there, because you will find lots and lots of information. So this program was implemented, and we would like to develop it further in other countries. And finally, I would like to give you an example of functioning of CGEM. We set up some thematic committees. For example, I am in the DG Tech committee, and we gather people living all around the world. It's a sort of think tank to work together on valuable projects. So finally, MEM by CGEM works on 3 dimensions: positive migration and investment of diaspora in Morocco, from Moroccans to Morocco. Secondly, the support to transfer of knowledge with the countries where of destination. And finally, the aim is to accelerate job creation. Do not hesitate to get in touch with us. I'll put the contact of our director with headquarters in Casablanca for those who are plan to go to Morocco. Do not hesitate to get in touch with us. We also have partners, for example, Morocco entrepreneurs based in France, and next Sunday, there is an event. You will find all information for the setup of your company. Thank you for your information, for all information. We are already very late, but the presentation was really useful. You also spoke about a sector that will be develop further later. And now let's go to Cameroon with Alain, who is a diplomat working for, he is a focal point of MINREX, as we did for Morocco, some figures, and then Mr. Alain Koum. If you see some inconsistencies with these figures, please let me know. So 400,000 Cameroon people live abroad, 1.3% of the population, out of which 50% in Europe, mostly in France. As for the breakdown of men and women, is far balanced. A bit more women than men, slightly. And then as for remittances, they represent 1.4% of GDP, 300 US dollar. Over to you, Mr. Alain Koum, to speak about the Cameroon ecosystem.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much, Ima, for giving me the floor by seeing the panorama, all the information that you've shared with us. I think you should update the information because Cameroon people are working abroad, 6 million of them, with a destination such as Nigeria, a lot of things done in Nigeria. So there is a need to update the figures in terms of transfer. So as it has been said before, is the same interest that Cameroon shares with other stakeholders for diaspora. Diaspora has become a challenge and an opportunity for the development. And there has been a structural transformation in the ecosystem and also in the ministry at the administrative level. We have operated a transformation. This mutation shows the interest that there is for the diaspora. The political way is the political interest is to capitalize on the diaspora. This is done through programs that have been implemented. These are split in between two ministries, Ministry for Youth and Ministry for the Development. And because of this, we have a program called Paris Jeudi, which is a program for youth and diaspora, a tool that is focused on youth and to accompany youth through non-finance and finance mechanisms. So this program has a fund which we call here fund for youngsters for 2 billion. It is a project that is led by the youth ministry. Then there are a lot of tools to encourage companies to put together this diaspora stakeholders on a local level, to accompany them, support them in order for them to develop, reinforce their skills, and to be able to boost economy for youth and adults alike. So we have a program to support investment. We have this tool which is particular because it allows to accompany Cameroon diaspora in their welcoming country, in the hosting country. For really concentrated area in France, in Germany, in other cities. And we find these tools in the embassies as well. This support starts in Cameroon, and it is a project that is divided in 3-4 components. One linked to strengthening the skills of the stakeholders of the diaspora. Second component, identification of the ecosystem, reinforcing cooperation of the Ministry of External Affairs. So we needed to strengthen the capacity and be able to coordinate this tool, and also to put together the financier and financial stakeholders. And this has been developed in the framework of the feasibility of donors here in Cameroon. So this project, up until this pilot phase, allowed to support 70 projects. And finally, we also could retrace the path of an entrepreneur of the diaspora, starting from its origin country to his hosting country. So this program that is entering now its phase 2 accelerates what was acquired in phase 1, and it becomes more and more ambitious with a more open access in terms of territories, especially namely for the local communities. Apart from this program, we also have a program with a partner for regional cooperation, which is a program this time to support having several indicators allowing to accompany Cameroon activity authorities to mobilize the diaspora. So we need to structure further this program because we are starting to translate in a concrete manner actions and mechanisms to take benefit from this diaspora. So we do not have a network such as Morocco, for instance, having a more important network, but we are creating bridges for the Cameroonese diaspora to be able to develop activity elsewhere and invest in Cameroon. Thank you very much for your presentation. You have respected the time allotted perfectly. We have 5 minutes now for some questions. I think that those were asked in the chat have been replied to by our colleagues. Thank you very much to Emmanuel that is doing a wonderful job replying to the question. I noted two questions that I had. Of course, if anybody raises his hand or is willing to ask a question, you have priority, so it's up to you. Otherwise, I have a couple of questions of my own. I'd say that there are no questions, so let me ask my one. For Karim, I had a question.
Que ce soit sectoriel ou que ce soit justement en termes de maturité des entrepreneurs ou des entreprises plutôt.
In terms of maturity of the entrepreneurs, are there, what kind of entrepreneurs are generally targeted by the Moroccan strategy today? Thank you very much, Ima, for the question.
Avec un nouveau modèle de développement à horizon 2035.
We have a development model with an horizon at 2035 with clear lines where we want to go. In the industry, we have two today. We have an automotive segment that is developing quite strongly. And what we see today is that we have a diaspora in this industry today saying that is maybe the good time to market to go to a country. Now you will try to convince this company to set up an operation in Morocco. So we are having companies asking their own company to start operation in Morocco, and it works really well. I would have a lot of examples to tell you, but I know that we do not have much time. Especially for startups, especially namely in the digital sectors and for the tech sectors. There are strong ambitions in Morocco to develop offshoring poles and tech poles. We call them transnational entrepreneurs. They have one foot in Europe and one foot in Africa, and it works really well. And then you have a lot of sectors that are emerging, developing today. For instance, everything concerning green energy. It is a disruption that we see today to accompany the development of these green energies and all these services attached to that. We have an international expertise today allowing us to look for these diaspora profile and propose projects to them. And we have several sectors like green. As I said, green and digital are becoming more and more important today because they are transversal to across the board to all sectors. So for women entrepreneurs, we encourage a lot today. We have dedicated networks for women entrepreneurs that are developing, and we see really clearly in country where there are women entrepreneurs that are taking the lead on companies, and we encourage this really much. Thank you very much, Karim. And I see that in the meantime, asking for the women in Cameroon, for the entrepreneur women in Cameroon, and she's asking what projects do you have to encourage women entrepreneurship in Cameroon, and how can we take benefit from this operation? Let's say that in the Invest, women were represented basically like men in terms of numbers. I'd like to ask this lady to get in contact with the Ministry of External Affairs. There are several operations that she could take benefit from, and she can ask to meet me, and we will do something together. Thank you very much. And from my side, I had a question. What you have understood from this feasibility study? Are there things that you are studying for DS Invest? Do you think about following up on this project, or for the moment is that on standby? No, this pilot phase allowed us to shape the project, to give precision to the project, and then we will use the results of this first phase to improve the process and move to a more on point and precise second phase. There's a last question. They're asking you if you can give the portfolio of the DS Invest. I think there might be resources in DS Invest network. Yes, of course. You can find all the information on the DS Invest website, and you will have access to all of this information. Maybe my colleagues can find the address for DS Invest, the link, and post it in the chat. I'm sorry, we have to continue because I need to have the last two panelists speak. We will listen to what they have done in Senegal and in Tunisia. I'm sorry, I put the only woman for last. Let's now move to Idrissa Diabira.
Là. Donc, qui est directeur général de l'ADEPME.
Who's the general director of ADEPME in Senegal. I'm really happy to welcome you today. A lot of experience in the support of the diaspora. Your institution is a reference point for us today in the development of this platform, and I am talking about the platform in the large sense of digital tool. And before I leave you the floor, I will ask you if the figures are updated or need to be updated. Following the mapping in Senegal, we have 640,000 Senegal citizens residing outside of Senegal, half of those in the European Union. Men are more represented than women. 10% of the GDP of the country is created by the diaspora, 2.3 billion, roughly, dollars. And now I leave the floor to Mr. Idrissa Diabira. Yes, hello everybody. I hope you can hear me fine. We can hear you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'd like to say hello to all of you and to congratulate ANIMA for this Meet Africa initiative, for the work that you do, and for this workshop in particular and this webinar. Because of my professional path, because I consider myself as somebody from the diaspora. My parents migrated here. I was born here. I studied in France and in the States, and for now 15 years, I came. I'm not saying I came back because we called about repats today as opposed to expats for the migrants of diaspora. It is a pleasure. I started with the Ministry of External Affairs based in Mali. I created a firm to support diaspora in between Europe and Africa, and through this cabinet, this firm, I intervened in several projects before joining the board of Senegal to help public policies, and especially, namely, the diaspora. The figures are more or less updated. We have a lot of contribution to migrants to the GDP in terms of technical and financial partners. So Senegal is the first partner for the development, essentially oriented by consumer needs as most emerging countries and diaspora. And for Senegal and the chief of state consider that the diaspora is a lever, is the most important lever for the emergency we are going through. We validated Senegal Emergent plan with ambitious projects in terms of growth, economical and social, in terms of inclusion for 2035.
Three main elements in this plan: the structural transformation of the economy on the one hand, but at the same time the strengthening of human capital and the participation of diaspora. In Senegal, there are 14 regions, and people say that, 4 regions, and the diaspora is the 5th region of the country. Now, ADEPME is an agency that was founded 20 years ago, and our core business is the technical support of entrepreneurs, regardless of the status of the enterprise. And there is an international, an ITC placement or classification, or rather our classification is similar to ITC. We are 18th in Africa when it comes to the quality, so we have a double certification on the assessment of the follow-up of enterprises, thanks to the labelization and scoring unity. Our challenge is, and this is our slogan, is to create future entrepreneurs. Our vision is to provide a support that is tailored to the profile and the needs of each entrepreneur to make him or her a future champion. Right, so our aim, as I was saying, is to support entrepreneurs to be the champions of the future, and so we are in a really dynamic ecosystem in Senegal to support entrepreneurs with a general approach and a comprehensive approach with different types of guarantees and funds. There is a new delegation of for young entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs to target this really dynamic segment of the population. And we also offer tools through our embassies or, for example, there is a phase and other initiatives that have been implemented. Since 2024, a bilateral program has been launched between Senegal and France, the PSD, for solidarity and development initiatives, whose target is to support diaspora in a collective approach in their villages of origin to encourage development and because these people very often would come back to their village of origin. Then there is the third phase of this program that also included the support of the diaspora and to gather them in ADEPME. And the name of the initiative is PSD, that has different elements, technical, namely technical support to help entrepreneurs to set up their projects, financial support through the mechanism of guarantee to support the access of funds. From 2019 to 2021, many requests have been submitted through this channel, 400, out of which 300 have been supported with different types of trainings, for example, in the setup of a business plan, technical assistance. I'm going to stop here with the details. The last thing, after COVID, because many entrepreneurs don't necessarily need programs, not even they don't need to be supported to come back. But what happens during COVID is that we redirected part of the resources to include other partners coming from France, Italy, Belgium, and Spain, because the EU is part of this program, and we involved these partners to face and we help them face the restrictions imposed during the COVID crisis. And this is very much in connection with Meet Africa program. So this was an overview of our pillars. We are open to any questions. There is an actor in Africa, in France, a representative in France. We can also be contacted by social networks. So if you have any questions or if you need our assistance, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Thank you, Mr. Diabira. I think that the project that you mentioned is also part of Meet Africa. So we can see that there is a consistency of in terms of targets. We have common targets, and there is a place where all the resources are put together, because we also have results. We also work on mapping of organizations, and now we can share our resources and update it constantly. I think that this is a really important value. So to have a place where you can find all the results, you can find everything. I have a couple of questions, but I will keep them for the end because I would like to give the floor to Jeanne Ben Romdam. She's the last speaker and the only woman. The best for last. Yes, exactly. I was tempted to say it, but it's since it's you who said it, it's fine. Jihen Ben Romdam, Vice Director of FIPA, the IPA in agency, having also offices outside Tunisia, but GN is going to speak about that. She's also one of the members of ANIMA. She's in the board of directors of ANIMA, so that's just great. Just a few figures once again, and then I would like to give the floor to GN Ben Romdan. So, according to our data, 800,000 Tunisians live abroad. 6.8% of the population in Tunisia live abroad. So, about 80%, out of which 80% in the EU. More men than women. France is the country in the EU having more Tunisian livings abroad, and 5.3% of GDP is represented by remittances of Tunisian. Jeanne, I'm happy to have you here. Over to you. Thank you. Thank you, Inma. Thank you for this presentation and for the figures about Tunisia. Yes, the figures are correct. 80% of the Tunisian diaspora live in the EU. France is the biggest country of destination for Tunisian, and there is also Italy and Germany ranking among the first. I would like to thank ANIMA and also Meet Africa, all the Meet Africa team for inviting us to this first online meeting with lots of eminent speakers. So the representatives of MEM by CGEM, MINREX, ADEPME, and also with lots of African entrepreneurs and diaspora. First of all, a little overview about our agency. In this in Tunisia agency, it is an IPA, and it is managed by the government. Our mission is to attract, mobilize, and retain foreign direct investment. We have also offices in Europe, in France, in Germany, in Italy, in Spain, and also in the UK. And also an office and headquarters in Tunis. We carry out many activities. For example, first of all, we present Tunisia as a good place to make investments and to receive support. It is so we talk to potential investors from abroad, diaspora, and we provide tailored services ever since the beginning. So from the setting up of the business and all the way to the follow-up, including the preparation of the programs. And FIPA supported also offers its support also during explanatory visits, and we give our support in the setup phase of the business and also after in the follow-up for the identification of effective strategies. Today, FIPA has 20 years experience in the promotion of investments, and during these 27 years, FIPA has always shared its skills. And that is why many members of the Tunisian diaspora invested in Tunis, because the skills of the Tunisian diaspora have always been valuable to Tunisia. The agency realized that this role is not just related to remittances, to financial resources, but the diaspora is also they are also ambassadors, as Inma said, and FIPA carries out action to strengthen the relations between Tunisia and its diaspora through a series of tailored services, as I explained ever since the beginning all the way to the follow-up. We also offer services to encourage the involvement of the diaspora in different initiatives. So, for example, there are many managers, Tunisian managers living abroad. We try to provide as much information as possible about different sectors. We also organize some promotion actions with a general approach or based on single particular sectors. And we do that in Tunisia and also in our offices abroad. Then we also create opportunities for networking. For example, there is a Tunisian Investment Forum, and there is also an award that is given to reward investors. And that is just to tell you how much value we give to those who support this dynamic. There are many interactions with the diaspora. That is why FIPA in April last year launched a program whose ambition is to create and strengthen the links with the diaspora. It is a program that was supported by the GIZ, and the first objective is to refine the targeting and identify profiles. The aim is to identify UN top 200 of personalities of Tunisian diaspora. And the second objective is to raise awareness about the advantages of a permanent settling in Tunisia. The third objective is to encourage different levels of contribution to investment, namely in business communities. More than 1.2 million people are in the Tunisian diaspora, and they can play a major role, especially in the recovery, post-COVID recovery. I would also like to add that the characteristic of the program is that we target our community having specific skills. So we namely target CEO, top managers, international consultants, and in specific countries, France, Italy, Germany, Switzerland, and the UK, and in specific sectors, automobile, so agribusiness, especially organic, and digital. So, for example, fintech and software development. I would like to finish my speech by speaking about a really important action, that is the roadshow, the special roadshow that was organized last year in June and July in collaboration with the FIPA offices abroad. 5 discussions based on one for each country were organized. So in Switzerland, Germany, the UK, France, and Italy. And these roadshows were also organized thanks to the Tunisian representatives in such countries. For each initiative, Tunisian diaspora members were represented in the digital sector, healthcare, agro-food, manufacture, textile. We also involved binational investors who share their experience about good practices and investments in Tunisia. The aim of such interactive meetings were to collect recommendations and proposals to improve the visibility of Tunisia in their countries of origin. Such recommendations, country destination, sorry, these recommendations were put together and collected in a white book that will enable us to tweak our communication and proposal in the future actions. So that is what I wanted to tell you about FIPA strategy. We have, thanks a lot. We have 7 minutes left with the translators, with interpreters. Then they need to leave. I'm from Spain, so I'm not shocked by being late, but okay, that is how it is. Could you perhaps give us a couple of recommendations emerging from this white book? Is this white book available, for example, in a website or not yet? And then I also had another question. I know that the program ended. Do you think that there will be a follow-up? Thank you, Inma, for your questions. Yes. The white book is available on the FIPA website, so have a look at it, visit our website when it comes to recommendations. So that is the most important part of the program. We collected lots and lots of recommendations. There is one that is really important to me, that is to facilitate administrative procedures, to ease administrative procedures. And I would like to reassure our diaspora entrepreneurs, if they want to invest in their countries of origin, they need to know that steps have been made by the Tunisian authorities to ease administrative procedures. Last April, an action was made to improve legal framework and to streamline administrative procedures. Another thing that is really important that I would like to tell participants is about streamlining of administrative procedures. Very often that factor plays a major role in discouraging investors. But last year, a list of economic activities was drawn, and these kind of companies do not need an authorization to set up a business. That was an encouragement for foreign investment. Another recommendation is that there is a lack of information about the business environment in Tunisia. And I would like to tell our participants and members of the diaspora and say that specific measures have been made within the program that I've mentioned. And thanks to this program, they can focus on specific information that they need. Our national plan has been drafted, and there is also an online questionnaire with 8 experts from Tunisia living abroad. It lasted from July to September 2021. Then, speaking about information, our offices in France, in Italy, and abroad are a bridge between the talent in Tunisia and abroad. So they are the ones who facilitate exchange. And they play a major role in encouraging in encouraging investment. Are we going to have a second step of the program? Yes. So far, the 5 countries have been involved that I mentioned. They are those with the biggest diaspora, Tunisian diaspora, but Tunisians are everywhere in the world. Our perspective is to target countries that are not traditionally mentioned, for example, Canada. So we really want to attract investment from such countries. And outside the program, I would also like to say that FIBA is also involved in different events that may be relevant participants. For example, there is one in Dubai, so a non-traditional country that is going to be at the center of our attention in the coming future. And check out our website to have more information. And then there are other events, the Tunisian Investment Forum in May. And then there is a conference in Tokyo for the development in Africa in August, and the French-speaking summit, French-speaking world summit in Jeddah, and it is really important to involve Tunisian diaspora.
Thank you very much. I stay here because there are some questions from the public. So how to integrate CCI to this project? I say there are several operations, financial or support, some sorts of information. Everything that can help the diaspora is welcome, of course. Now, concerning the amounts, there are 170 projects that will be funded in the framework of Meet Africa. Some are technically supported, maybe they are not the same, they can be different. I think there are 2 million euros to be shared. I don't know if it will be different. I think that the tender has just been issued, so times are not ripe yet to know how advanced they are, but from the latest news, this was not decided yet. So let's save the date and pay attention to the evolution. In the framework of these projects, you talk about Meet Africa, the project that has been presented by Idrissa, by the projects in Tunisia. Could you give us some further information on which project you are talking about? For Burkina Faso, as of today, the platform is for the diaspora in the 3 countries, covered by the Meet Africa project, so Cameroon, Ivory Coast, Morocco, Mali, Senegal, Tunisia, and Europe, of course. But in the digital economy, we are looking, even though this is not solved yet, for to see how Meet Africa can support Burkina Faso for this in this platform. We will see how it evolves, but then I think it can evolve. And for ANIMA, there is no problem. You can contact us, and we will explain how we get organized, because we are organized for Africa as well, when we do not have the criteria country by country. Are there any questions that I am forgetting? The G10 is contacting you. Yes, you can turn on your camera and speak if you wish. We are a little bit overboard. I don't know if we still have interpretation. Yes, hello everybody. I full direction working with diaspora. and the different emanation and what the state has to do to support that. We have an interactive tool to valorize competences and skill, which is already being implemented this year to allow the diaspora to react to the needs of the different stakeholders and sectors in Ivory Coast. We also have a fund for the investment. And we wanted to know is for Mid Africa, how to take benefit for this funds that ANIMA propose. We have really advanced projects. Now, concerning the political engagement of the diaspora, for investments here in Ivory Coast with small, medium enterprises, and as I said, we consider here in Ivory Coast diaspora as the 32nd region. We have here in Ivory Coast 31 region, and the 32nd one is the diaspora. So it's really important for us. And we work with the Chamber of Commerce. We have interaction of through all the stakeholders to support and accompany the diaspora. And the public functions is launching 6 files to allow for 10 diaspora representatives. Further, there will be a pilot project in June, if I'm not mistaken, in Paris. So it's something that I wanted to share with you, because we cannot conceive that all this has been presented and we haven't had information. So we are ready to accompany diaspora, and we do it through our Diplomacy International in all regions of Ivory Coast.
Évidemment, vous êtes les bienvenus, et d'ailleurs,
of course, you are welcome, and we already talked about the platform, and it was last year, and you were invited to each workshop for the co-construction. We are always in contact, and I will be really happy to have a delegation of one of your delegation in our platform, but also in our event. So I'm really sincere. Of course, if you already have dates and opportunity for Ivorian people, you can share them on the platform. Before we continue, I think we will have, I don't think there are any other questions, so we will finish there. You have my email. We will continue by email, and thank you very much to all of you. I'm really happy I was able to share this webinar with you. This webinar has an objective to reorient all the stakeholders to the organization that are with us today. If you have tools dedicated for diaspora operators, you are free to contact me. We actually invite you to do so. I'm writing my email in the chat. You can contact me when you want, and for the entrepreneurs that are with us, please, there will be more functionalities to come. Do not be disappointed today because you don't think there are enough functions. The idea is to make this tool really a performing tool, so the tool will evolve, the platform will evolve. It is an inclusive network that we have. I see others that are already inside, like Adel Karawi. and they create this bridge. There are more than cultural bridges. I don't know if I couldn't see you all and talk to you all, but I'm really happy for this first webinar. There will be others. And once again, Marie-Paul is beta tester. She is an entrepreneur. She helped us a lot in the creation of this. She worked a lot with us, and we know how few time you have available all of the entrepreneurs. So thank you very much to all of you. Thank you very much to all the speakers, the full experts. And thank you very much to the organization Acceptance today to be with us, and we'll keep you updated for what is to come, because we have other things to come. I will share the list link to tell you that these webinars are organized monthly. And so we have 1 hour, we have some time available each month. The first one was Acts on Innovation, Rare Breach Africa, organizing these last webinars for women entrepreneurs. That was perfect. I'm not saying that because I'm a woman, but and our next webinar is the 7th of July. So I leave you the floor. I don't know if you still are there. The speakers, Alain, Koum.
Idrissa, Diabira et Karim Basrire, si vous êtes là, à vous la parole.
You have the floor for the closing remarks. Thank you very much, Ima.
Aux compétences tunisiennes, donc, pour investir et s'investir dans le développement de la Tunisie. Alors, je veux dire, oser. Il faut oser investir dans votre pays d'origine.
You need to dare invest in your own country. So Tunisia is quite a good place for investing. You know that the market is small, but international is unlimited. So I'd like to reiterate the strategic engagement. Especially in this reprisal after COVID. Thank you very much to all the Meet Africa team, and thank you very much, Anima, all the participants and our experts. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you very much, Etienne. I wanted to join my voice to Jeanne. Thank you very much for this invitation. Thank you for the quality of the intervention of the participants. And I'd like to add also that we take into account the expectation of the people in the Interior Ministry has already created an office dedicated to be a reference point for the diaspora. And that opened the roads to the economical ecosystem. That is to say that the ministry and the government is implementing the tools and the needed to foster the diaspora. Of course, it doesn't go as fast as everyone would like to, but of course, there are several challenges involved. So thank you very much once again for giving me the opportunity to talk. Thank you. Thank you, Karim. To continue, Gian, I'd like to say there as well. We are addressing today the African diaspora, which has a large, exceptional pool of opportunities. Get interested in the topic, and we are convinced that the future of Europe is in the south. So there are a lot of topics you can work about today. Institutions are at your disposal. Social networks, follow the updates. Gian, Idrissa, everybody will tell you the same thing. The informations are there. Maybe there are still things that we need to improve in order to promote. We are listening to you and to your needs. We are going towards you. We are at your disposal. But look, because Africa, you won't be able to recognize it in 5-6 years time because of all the things that are happening right now and evolving. Thank you very much to all the participants. Thank you very much, Karim and Idrissa. Thank you very much. Following my predecessors that I congratulate, Karim said it quite well. The past was African. The future will be even more so, not only the future of Europe, but the future of the world. The continent is transforming really fast. It's not, of course, easy to be an entrepreneur, but you have a lot of opportunity. For instance, on the west coast of
il y a une quête d'identité qui est extraordinaire. On a des liens, des attaches avec son pays d'origine. C'est Paul Coelho qui disait que le bon combat, c'était celui que l'on menait au nom de ses rêves. Et je pense qu'on a tous les mêmes rêves, celle d'une Afrique grande, conquérante, égale à elle-même. Et je pense que c'est avec ses fils et ses filles présents partout, sur le continent et dans la diaspora qu'on y arrivera. En tout cas, nous, on se fait fort de vous aider, pour vous conseiller et vous accompagner à vous accomplir et à développer le continent. Merci.
Merci beaucoup à tous les quatre. C'était super de vous avoir. Et je vois qu'Habiba est toujours là. Habiba, est-ce que tu veux dire les derniers mots et après on arrête?
Bonjour à tous. Donc, merci à ANIMA pour l'organisation de ce premier webinaire pour Meet Africa. Moi, j'étais très heureuse de participer de loin et de voir quelques-uns de nos partenaires. Ils sont beaucoup plus nombreux, mais quelques-uns des partenaires institutionnels. Nous sommes aujourd'hui à entre 15 et 20 partenaires au total, entre des institutionnels, des incubateurs et des services économiques ou des patronats. Donc, Meet Africa grandit et comme l'ont dit très bien les quatre intervenants, suivez ce qui se passe sur l'Afrique. Il n'y a pas que Meet Africa comme initiative, hein, l'ensemble des intervenants présentent également leurs initiatives. Donc, il y a plein de choses qui arrivent. Nous essayons, nous, de communiquer, de valoriser l'ensemble des initiatives et des dispositifs existants. Mais voilà, effectivement, on peut toujours s'améliorer, c'est perfectible. Donc, voilà, merci encore à tous d'être présents, de participer et suivre du coup les activités. Donc, j'ai mis le site internet de Meet Africa. Nous postons maintenant des actualités. Donc, on a mis à jour le site internet. On a aussi des réseaux sociaux assez actifs. Donc, actuellement, pour résumer, nous avons un appel à candidature pour les entrepreneurs de la diaspora, donc pour la deuxième cohorte des entrepreneurs. Nous avons un appel d'offres pour les structures de financement pour mettre en place notre fonds d'amorçage qui se termine le 23 mai. Et nous avons donc la plateforme Hub Meet Africa qui est en cours. Et puis, nous recrutons aussi de temps en temps des experts. Donc, nous recrutons actuellement un expert évaluation et nous recruterons bientôt un expert pour le Mali. Voilà, donc il y a plein de choses qui arrivent aussi dans le cadre du projet. Donc, merci encore à tout le monde.
Bon, merci à tous et au prochain rendez-vous, soit l'innovation en mai, soit encore l'Afrique en juin, soit l'Europe Meet Africa encore en juillet. Et encore un grand merci à tout le monde.